Thank you for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review, episode 24. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Miq Strawn.
I think I'm saying the name of this movie right. It's XX. It's not double X.
XX?
Because the first thing I think of is porn, but XX. So the interesting, I think I know why they named it XX.
Ah, okay.
It should have been XXXX. Because it was 4 female directors.
Right.
So it's from their point of view, which we'll get to that later. But
XY chromosome?
so basically it's a set of 4 horror...
XY chromosome?
4 stories, yeah. That's where I was going
What's
with
the
that.
XY?
You're right, XX is the female,
XX
right?
is the female.
Yeah.
Right, that's why they did it.
So I'm a dumbass. I was thinking X for each female.
Oh.
But XX, that makes a lot more sense.
XX, there you go. Okay.
XX and XY. But anyway, so this movie is an anthology of 4 separate short films.
Four different directors, right?
By 4 different directors.
Right.
And I thought the concepts were awesome. The acting was great. I thought it was awesome how they did it. How each director approached everything was awesome, I thought. But I thought it was really boring. And there was no payoff, and there was no connection with the stories. I thought that would have been...
It's funny. I thought that the one that was done by Vincent...
Right. Was that the...
Anne Clark.
The birthday party one?
The birthday party one?
So that's the one I didn't like.
It's just the one that I did like.
It's like, it was not really horror. This is my note here.
Well,
I said, not really horror. Boring.
It was not really horror, but what was good about
it was like a bad music video is how I thought of it.
Well, I don't know about a music video.
This is the second one.
What I liked about it was, the sound effects were excellent. I mean, and the sound design on it was definitely a step above.
I'll give you that one, yeah, for sure.
And not only was the sound design good, but the editing and how like when you're editing, what you're trying to do is, and especially recently, you try and step on a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You play kind of both sides of the moment. In other words, somebody is turning to look at you, and you're trying to get away, and you're trying to get hidden. You edit it so that they do see you, right? In other words, the timing is off on the editing,
mm-hmm.
and they do that intentionally because it gets your tension really high. In other words, if somebody's looking, they look around and they look right at you, you let the editing tell the story that they did, but you let the story say that they didn't.
Right.
So it heightens, it gives you a heightened feeling. And I think that they did that really well on that because she's trying to carry a guy around and he's missing, and all these people are coming in the house and through and trip, and that's kind of what they were doing, and they were stepping on that editing moment, which I thought was really interesting.
But it didn't hit me that way. It hit me like a Three's Company episode where he was trying to hide something from Mr. Furley.
That's I mean,
it didn't really give me any
was
attention.
Humor. Well, it was.
I was just like, oh, okay.
It was humor. I didn't see. I saw it as being humorous, and I saw the rest of the films in there is being a little bit too kind of the stock idea of a short film.
I said it was the endings were very ambiguous for the most part,
right? And
it's just not good enough to be
interesting.
I thought it was a waste of time, actually, the whole thing.
Exactly. Sort of like what did I write down? I said zone or limits, who cares?
But I mean, and why does it matter if it was directed by women? Because I didn't see any sign that all the female characters were really boring.
Yeah, that was like, I think that they should have, I think that they could have dumped the three of them and started with the one by St. Vincent and gone from there. I thought that she did a really good job of directing, and I thought that her soundscaping was amazing.
I think the sound was good. So I think that if they would have somehow connected them so the narrative would run all the way across all 4 of them, would have been interesting.
Oh.
I do like the animation in between.
Which one of them was done up in Agua Dulce? The one where they're jumping off of the edge, right?
Oh, Don't Fall. Well, let's talk about the box first.
Okay.
We talked about the second one. The first one, the box.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting, but the main
there was
character,
no payoff anywhere.
The mom was horrible.
Yeah.
She was, okay, so she was the main character,
Yeah,
But she
and
wasn't
she had
the
no
main
strength
character.
for it. Yeah,
She wasn't really there until the very end.
you know who was the most interesting character in the whole thing was the old man.
The old man on the
and we
bus.
only saw him for a second.
Yes.
You know, and he had only one line, and it stuck with me when he walked off the scene. I thought, oh, we're never going to see him again. He was interesting.
That reminded me of kind of a boring Tales from the Dark Side episode
Right.
that didn't have a good ending.
Right, exactly.
It just kind of suddenly ended.
It really did, you know?
But it was interesting.
Yeah.
Like when they started doing things to each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was kind of cool, but it could have gone beyond that.
Yeah, it seemed like it had no ending.
Yeah.
But you know, that's horror films. The biggest problem in any horror film is trying to find an ending.
Time constraint too. They only had short time. Oh, so the third one, Don't Fall. This is what I had. The characters, they're the only important thing in this whole thing. And I thought the acting was horrible, and it definitely, again, was not horror.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
The fourth one was the one I
Yeah.
liked the most, and I can't tell you why. I just said that it was just the creepiness of the character, the weird guy. It's like another one of those creepy movies.
And what was it about?
You know, I can't even tell
These
you.
are the most. I swear.
Yeah, the only
I saw
living son.
I
Whatever.
saw this. I saw this movie. Let's see, last night.
Yeah.
Right. I was perfectly. I wasn't tired or anything like that.
I had the same thing.
But I gotta tell you something. It didn't stick in my head.
No.
Not one moment of it stuck in my head, except for her trying to drag that guy down the hallway. I mean, that was about it.
I just remember people
Most unforgettable.
not eating.
Yep.
It wasn't fulfilling to me either. So how many X's would you give this one?
Didn't I was giving it boxes.
Boxes. Okay,
Yeah.
how many boxes?
Boxes. I'm gonna say 2.
I'm right there with you. I was going to match how many X's there are.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of there. Sometimes I have noticed. In fact, a lot of people notice this before, but sometimes you can have all the elements of production.
Yes,
Like
it was a
here's the
pretty
thing.
production.
It was well done.
Yeah.
The production was well
Acting
done.
was good too.
The acting
Yeah.
was good. The music was particularly good all the way across. The feel of it was good. It's just like I just didn't care.
Was this
You
a
know?
Netflix
I can't
production?
even remember it. Yeah, it was.
So this is a question I had in my mind as we're watching some of these Netflix movies now
You-
and Hulu and all
wait.
these other ones.
You have mind?
It's in there somewhere.
Okay.
It's kind of way back here.
All right.
Little dot.
I'm going to take your word for it.
It bounces around. You can hear it sometimes if it's really quiet.
Oh, do you have somebody that you have to trade the brains? Do you actually get to use the brain cell for the podcast?
Actually, right now I'm being controlled by the big giant head. So,
Whoa!
to reference John Lithgow,
Whoa!
which was William Shatner, by the way. So anyway, I don't know. That was one of my favorite shows.
Okay.
But anyway, I was thinking about this as I'm watching all these Netflix movies. They're not controlled by a studio. So there's like no collaborative approach to everything. Director just kind of does whatever they want. They have a budget, but they can do whatever they want with it. Like a little more loose.
Right. Oh yeah.
This is
Netflix.
why I think Bright could have been better, for example. But not to talk about Bright. But this one, for example, I think would have been better if it maybe had more people involved with the direction things were going in. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but sometimes.
Of course,
things
you
just-
worked with a lot of people and necessarily didn't work out because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know what?
Because you've talked about
It's-
movies
it's-
like What the Hidden.
But it's always a crapshoot, and I think the XX is an excellent example of that. You know, there's just sometimes you've got everything lined up just right, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. You can, it's not like a studio set out to make an Ishtar,
Right.
right?
Well, compare this one to The Babysitter, for example. The
Right.
Babysitter was amazing.
Exactly. It was
Of
actually.
course, that was probably all the director. Because he had that, I think he has that vision, the kind of video background, and you know what I mean.
See, and the thing is talking about the studios and stuff. A lot of times, it scatters the vision.
Right.
Sometimes a small product. It depends. If you get a director that has a very singular vision, Quentin Tarantino, for instance,
yeah.
would never have done well in a big studio film because his singular vision would be argued and argued and argued and argued and argued. John Waters,
Yes.
very singular vision, and only ever made a movie for John Waters. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So how did Oliver Stone survive with a big studio?
well, the thing is Oliver Stone is a dick, and you know, and he played Power well.
Right. Good point. But you know, I'm curious to see all these original productions since there's more of them now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I love the fact of letting them do what they want.
But not only is there more of them, as much as we complain about with the big movies now being adventure films and superhero films because they do really well in other countries.
Yes. Yeah.
They
better
can,
than our country sometimes.
Well,
in some cases.
the thing is anything that would have nuance, that would have social situations, don't play as well overseas. Therefore, we can't spend as much money on them, and that niche is kind of being taken over by very, very low budgets. I mean, those budgets were actually higher in the 80s for socially conscious or comedies, that kind of thing. But it's just like what's happening with music, is because it's so much cheaper to the technology has advanced so much. I mean, you don't need film anymore.
Yeah.
The cost of film used to be crazy.
You use your iPhone now.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to have expensive equipment. You can go out there with a bunch of GoPros and get a clear.
Even drones nowadays.
Yeah. Even the thing is you used to use these big, incredible, expensive cranes to get shots that you do with a $200 drone.
Yeah.
So I think that the biggest problem that we have is that we don't have distribution onto large screens for these, lower films, and I think that needs to be worked out. I think that if we
imagine if Netflix worked that out,
right?
Yeah.
If Netflix had a theater in every town, can you imagine what that would be like?
Or just get their movies into theaters. I mean, why not sell to Regal and Carmike and?
Why not set up your own theater chain?
Yeah, I guess so.
Why not set up a theater chain that has a distribution that is, from Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or whatever like that, or they get together and, well, whatever. But I mean, they've all of this really low budget stuff. There's a stigma against putting it on the big screen, so we get the trash that's on the screen. I think this year is a perfect.
That makes no sense.
And the trash.
Because you're talking about Quentin Tarantino, who added some amazing films.
Right, exactly.
Of course, he had big budgets.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, he had artistic vision and he had control, pretty much.
Exactly, but there are so many small films that were really good that the only way that you're ever going to see them is going to be on Netflix.
I'm glad you said that, because we have one that we're going to review on Hulu called Dave Made a Maze.
Dave Made a Maze.
That's a pretty small budget film.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
I love small budget films. I mean, I like the independent films that people had to go beg for money.
What happened in the end of Don't Fall? I have forgotten it entirely.
I've kind of forgotten the whole thing entirely.
Well, you know what? Oh, there you go. I have a little story about where they shot.
Story time.
Story time. It's story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq. Story time with Miq.
They were in Aqua Dulce for that.
Were they?
Yeah, that was.
You mentioned that before.
You know that slanted rock, right?
Yeah.
That's the Star Trek classic.
Oh.
Remember, the monster going around trying to find salt.
The
salt and those rocks, and they had that slanted kind of ethereal look to them, and that's
I see James C. Kirk fighting an alien right now.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. But also, I went up there. We were living in Canyon Country, and I remember a friend of mine saying that they were all set up there and doing the Flintstones reel. and they had gone up to Agua Dulce, and they had done the town right so that it's completely surrounded by the Agua Dulce rocks.
Right.
Yeah. So going up there and seeing it was so cool. I have to say, I mean, very few sets that I've ever gone on that I really cared one way or the other, but it actually looked exactly like the comic books. And funny thing, if it isn't years and years and years later, I'm going through a period, like I used to work on the movies for 9 months out of the year, and then for 3 months I would just do like handyman stuff and go, and I just happened to have a friend say, so-and-so needs some help with designing his kitchen or something, and it turns out to be Dave Silverman, who actually was one of the executive producers on the Flintstones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's and he's a good friend of mine. He also did a lot of TV writing way back, like with Alf.
Oh, Alf. I used to love Alf.
He did so many of those.
Alf was kind of a dark character, actually. I mean, if you watch it now,
Yeah.
Some of the jokes I didn't catch as a child, I catch now.
I'm sure because Dave is kind of a dark character himself.
Right. But yeah, I love Alf.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Alf, and he did the Wild Thornberries.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've ever seen the cartoon, the Wild Thornberries.
I don't think I've seen it, but I know of it.
Excellent stuff. Anyway, lifelong friends.
That's awesome.
But that Flintstone setup there.
So does this gentleman
so cool.
follow our podcast, or if he's such a close friend, he should probably follow your podcast.
He should. Dave, get on it. You know what? I'm gonna get him just for his own call out here.
See, this is where we are. We're guilting people into listening to us and following us. But I love feedback, especially from the guy who wrote Elf.
It's like yeah. How many Jewish mothers does it take to change a light bulb? No, that's all right. I'll just sit here listening to your podcast.
There you go.
Hey, that was pretty good.
It was better than my joke earlier.
Hey, I know what we should do. Let's go. Let's get the hell out of here and go review Dave Made a Maze.
Let's do it.
Okay, bye.
Along with Miq Strawn, this is Kurt Thomas with the Dream Warrior Review. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for our show, feel free to email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at DW Review. Until next time, thanks for listening to the Dream Warrior Review.